Hey Baddies, we want to take a quick minute to shout out our amazing sponsor, Eli Lilly, for supporting our mission here on Baddie to Baddie. Because of their generosity, we can keep these important conversations about breast cancer awareness, education, and advocacy going strong for our community of women of color. We send our sincere thanks to our partners at Eli Lilly for standing with us. Calling all permanent makeup artists. Discover how you can join our mission to empower breast cancer survivors of color with specialized permanent makeup services. It's more than makeup, it's a movement. Connect with us and find out how you can contribute to this empowering cause by visiting baddiebeautycollective.com. In return, you will receive free breast health education, permanent makeup trainings, and much more. The Baddie Beauty Collective is brought to you by For the Breast of Us, Artistry by Zuri, and PM Yukon. If you're a breast cancer survivor looking to boost your confidence and add a bit of swag to your new normal, this is your invitation to explore free and discounted permanent makeup services by artists trained in the specifics and nuances of skin for women of color. From eyebrows to 3D areola and scar transformation, join us and let your journey of empowerment begin. Check out the Baddie Beauty Collective, brought to you by For the Breast of Us, Artistry by Zuri, and PM Yukon by visiting baddiebeautycollective.com.
Welcome to Baddie to Baddie, a monthly podcast by For the Breast of Us, the first breast cancer community for all women of color, where we share real-life experiences, information, and education to help you live your best life after a breast cancer diagnosis. Welcome to Baddie to Baddie. Welcome to Baddie to Baddie.
Hey girl, hey. My name is Tesha and I am a breast cancer survivor and a Baddie volunteer with here at For the Breast of Us, a community for women of color that has been impacted by breast cancer. Today, I am joined by Vina and Raquel, who are thrivers and survivors. And today we are going to talk about wellness and self-care for women that are being impacted by breast cancer and the importance of wellness and self-care. So before we get started, tell our listeners, Vina and Raquel, a little bit about yourselves. So Vina, we'll start with you. So tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Sure. And thank you for having me on, Tesha. I was so excited about this topic. I mean, it's something I struggle with. I'm, obviously not an expert in this area, but would just love to share a little bit about my journey in terms of wellness and mental health also.
Absolutely.
And so I am a freelance community journalist. And I also am a poetry editor for an Asian American literary magazine.
Okay.
And in terms of cancer, I was diagnosed with stage 2 triple negative breast cancer in 2022. And so I was 43 years old back then. And it was detected during a routine mammogram. So I think that would be my first kind of self-care tip, right?
Mm-hmm.
To try and think of your mammogram as self-care, because they were able to catch the cancer, in my case, fairly early. And I had been getting my mammograms regularly since I turned 40. And then, like pretty soon after, like maybe a month after I got diagnosed with breast cancer, I also learned that I was BRCA1 positive as well.
Okay.
And so that happened.
Yeah.
And then more recently, and so I am so happy to say, I am a survivor. I am
Yes.
a
Yes.
thriver.
That you are.
Yeah, and because the latest part of my journey was this past January. I had these really bad headaches for 3 weeks,
Okay.
and I used to get migraine headaches a lot. So I was like, this is just a migraine, right? But you would think after 3 weeks, and I had nausea too, that I would start thinking, okay, maybe this is something weird. But I actually waited until I woke up one day, started throwing up, and then finally I was like, okay, this is not right. Something's
Mm-hmm.
really wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so I finally went to the ER, and the doctors described it. They found a kiwi size tumor in my brain.
Wow.
Oh my
And a
God.
kiwi, I'm like, that is large. How does it even fit in
Yeah.
my, like,
Yeah.
they said with my left frontal lobe? And that was what was causing the headache. And then they did a biopsy and found out that it was metastatic. But triple negative breast cancer is one of these things that spreads really fast, isn't targeted. So I was very lucky because when it went to my brain, it
Mm-hmm.
transformed to um, HER2 positive, a different type of cancer. So you
Okay.
could actually target that with radiotherapy, which is what I did, and also a targeted drug. So I'm on Talzena now,
Okay.
probably for a little bit of a long-term thing.
Okay.
And so that is the story, and I will stop there and like hand it off to Raquel to also introduce herself.
Well, we are glad that you are here.
Yeah.
And so Raquel, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Raquel. I'm known as Glammy. I'm
Hey, Glammy.
36 years old, born and raised in North Philadelphia.
Billy
Um,
in the house.
I know, right? um, well, honestly, my journey started at 34. I was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. It was HER2 negative, PR negative, and no, it's HER2 negative,
Mm-hmm.
no positive, HER2 positive, PR positive, and HER2 negative.
Okay.
So it wasn't from what I hear, it was like at stage one going into 2.
Got it.
And it started off as self-care, like you said. Like self-care is learning your body and knowing your body through
Mm-hmm.
and through. That is a very, very major part of anything that has to do with medical concerning. The doctors are going to listen to what you tell them about your body. And I always say we are our first doctors because it's true.
Absolutely.
That's the best way for the doctors to know how to properly diagnose us or just care for us in total. I was just, it was literally just a time that I literally just had like a lump under my underarm.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like, I'm normally usually look further into stuff, but that day I was like, no, I don't think it's nothing to worry about. And I want to say that lump was there for about a year.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was there. It was there. And it wasn't big. It was small. It really you could have easily mistaken it for like a broil
Mm-hmm.
under your underarm. Like
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
could easily said that. And I literally wasn't worried about it. And after so much time of letting it just go, it started to literally thrive.
Yeah.
It was causing pain and discomfort. And I'm like, just like you said, Vina, like something's not right.
Mm-hmm.
Something's not right. And I went further and to look into what it was. And of course, you hear those stories that you're young and you have dense breast tissue and
Mm-hmm.
so
Yep.
that's what was said to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wasn't going for it. I just was like, you know what? I really just want to do a mammogram or an ultrasound just to rule it out because in my family, breast cancer is a thing on my mother's side.
Okay.
My grandmother had it, breast cancer, and my aunt had it. But based on me getting the test,
like the genes test.
Yeah.
I didn't have the gene, so thank God I didn't have the gene. But it started there at 34, and it was the year of 21. So yeah, May of 21. So this May will be my 1 year cancer anniversary.
We celebrating that.
Yeah,
1 year.
it's another birthday for me now. Like
every year.
Every year. Yes, every
like,
year.
Every year to me is like a new birthday. But so yes, we are celebrating that 1 year. I don't care if it's 1 hour. We celebrate
Exactly.
Okay.
It's been day to day since the diagnosis. So it's like I woke up today. That's something
We celebrate
to be happy. Let's celebrate that. Yeah.
We got out of bed.
Get out of bed. Exactly.
We're celebrating that. Okay.
Yes.
Come on, 1 year.
And
I love
the journey just helped me it opened my eyes. And I can't say that this journey was all negative. Like, the world, hair, cancer, and they rule you out. And they so I already had in my mind that I was going to beat it. Like, it was already in my head. I had it in my heart. I had it in my mind. And I just knew that regardless what it was I was faced with, I knew that I was ready to fight. Like, I knew that I had so much ahead of me.
Yep.
And this was just a part of my, a page out of my book, a life. And it also pushed me more and further into my passion, which is, educating women and uplifting women and being an encouragement, like, or that light at the end of the tunnel of women that may have felt like they don't know how to speak up for themselves. Yes. I'm that girl that's like, don't let them tell you anything. Make sure you feel you understand what's going on and don't stop until you get the answers that you need.
Absolutely.
So it pushed me more and further in my purpose. And I want to write my own book. So
yes.
And you will.
You will. You will.
I
love that you said that because as a writer, representation and telling our stories is so important to me. And it's also why I've been open about the cancer journey. Like you said, I mean, there were so many women who once they found out, right? And you realize you're not alone. And once they found out that I had cancer, they just opened up, reached out, shared the knowledge. And so I definitely see it as passing that forward as well.
Yes.
And it was a little bit surprising because I only knew, just like you, Raquel, I had a great grandmother who had cancer, an aunt who had cancer. And so it was not a lot in my family that was known. And so it was very surprising when I learned that I was BRCA1 positive, because that means that gene is in my family.
Correct.
So I am just thinking that, maybe it just wasn't diagnosed in my family, or it was a lot of silence around that. And I come from a very tradition oriented culture where you don't talk about anything about your health.
Absolutely.
And you can't even say cancer, because especially amongst my relatives in the Philippines, for instance, that's still a death sentence. Because
I agree.
Like no one can afford cancer therapy in the Philippines. There's like barely insurance. A lot of people are uninsured. So if you get sick, it's out of pocket. So that's why people just don't talk about it, and they just live with it. And then that's it. And so we are very lucky in this country in so many ways. I mean, it's still messed up. The amount of money that you have to pay on top of insurance, it's ridiculous.
Yes.
But I have to say, I am just, and I remember friends whose mothers died of breast cancer like 20 years ago. And in that time, we've really advanced a lot.
Yes.
So I'm grateful for the medical advancements.
Yes. Well, you two have touched on a lot of things that I kind of want to go back and reiterate. But Vina, the one thing that you said that really stuck out to me, the Asian community is very quiet about, talking about their health. And as you were talking, I'm like, wow, it's the same as in the African American community. We don't talk about our health. That's one thing that we need to get out of
Yes.
Because the more we talk about it, the more knowledge we get, the more we will know, well, such and such had it. I'm a 9-year survivor.
Yes.
And I was, thank you.
Yay.
We celebrate.
Yes.
I was the first in my immediate family. I had a great aunt on my father's side that had cancer. No one that I know of on my mother's side. My father's side of the family, I've had, great aunts and uncles that have died from some form of cancer. But I was the first in my immediate family at the age of 36. And like you, Raquel,
Oh, wow.
I had that mindset. I'm 36.
Yes.
I got places to go, and I love to travel. And I'm a social. I consider myself a social butterfly. I love to travel. I got people to see. I got places to go. I got to get to New York. I got to get to Philly, or wherever else. This cancer is not going to take me out.
I know that's right.
Granted, when I first got the news, it was a punch in the gut. I was shocked because the first thing that I thought was, oh my gosh, am I going to die? Because I did not have the resources or the knowledge to know that. Thank God, I was stage 2, like you. But I didn't know at the time that there was that it was caught early and that it was treatable. Because all I saw was when people got cancer, they died from it. And so naturally I thought, well, oh my gosh, I got cancer. I'm going to die.
Yes.
And I'm 36. Hold up. I'm 36.
No.
But once I got all of that out and I got that fighting mindset, and I'm like, oh no, it's on now.
Yes.
Let's fight. Because I don't have time for this. And I tell listeners, that is half your battle, just having that mindset that you are going to beat it. You beat it, because if you let it get to your mind and get to your and just destroy your thing, it's going to destroy you, and you don't want that. And like you, Raquel, it did bring me further into my purpose. I was afforded the opportunity, and I'm so blessed that I was able to. I co-authored a book where I shared my breast cancer journey, and I have a podcast that I do once a month called Tesha's Tea Room, the place where conversations conquer cancer. We are, and so just letting you two know.
You see me taking notes. So.
Okay.
You're coming to the tea room.
Yeah.
I have conversations like we're having now with For the Breast of Us, which is another wonderful organization that I am so blessed and honored to be a part of, and that I've partnered with this series. So just being able to have these conversations where we can, where others can see, wait, I don't have to do this by myself.
Yes.
There's someone else that looks like me that is going through.
Yes.
That's the big thing, because oftentimes when women of color have gotten diagnosed with cancer, we do feel a sense of isolation and a sense of loneliness, because we don't see a lot
100%.
of representation. We don't see a lot of us.
Yes.
We see more white women being represented that has cancer. And it's like, wait a minute, we get it too.
Yep.
Everybody, cancer doesn't discriminate. And then I learned too on my journey that it not only does not discriminate with skin color, it doesn't discriminate with age, because I was always under the impression that older women got it. And here I am, 36, but then as I'm going through my journey, I'm learning and I'm meeting other women in their 20s.
I was going to say younger than us.
And younger than us.
Yes.
Yeah.
And men get it too,
And men blew my mind. Blew my mind. And so, I'm so thankful and I'm so glad that we are having these conversations.
Yes.
So that we are, and like you said, we are passing it forward. We are passing the torch, and we are letting others know that, hey, there is a community out here for you.
Yeah.
You know, that
I agree.
you can come to us, you know, if you hear our stories. And I'm so thankful that we are sharing our stories, because again, somebody might be diagnosed and may be going through something that we may have had a conversation about that we've already gone through.
And that's exactly what I call that, pretty much somebody giving someone else the survival kit.
There you go.
Yes, I
I
love
love
that. I love
I
that
love
idea. Yeah.
I love it.
Yes, the tools. That's the tools. And that really does help, because think about when
Absolutely.
we were in that predicament. I
Mhm.
was Googling and researching and all
Uh-huh.
types of stuff.
And Google can be dangerous
And Google, I
when
know
you don't know exactly, like,
exactly. Yeah.
yes.
So
Yeah.
it helps to have that podcast, that community Facebook group
Yes.
that of women that are going through what you're going through, and they can
Exactly.
say, "Oh, well, this is what I did when I was feeling like this to make me feel better," or what I read. I read books a lot. It really helped.
I
Okay.
did
Prayer.
too. And I was looking for like BIPOC authored books, and
Mm, okay.
the best one that I read, even though it was written like decades ago, was still Audre Lorde's The Cancer Diaries. I don't know if you read that one, but she had cancer in the 1970s, I want to say. So very different. Like they had radical mastectomy, all of this stuff.
Hmm. Hmm.
But you know, just the way she talks about cancer,
Hmm.
it wasn't, I mean, obviously it's like a personal experience, right? Like it's an
Yeah.
Yes,
individual experience, but the way that she talked about it was so empowering because she was an activist. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, and so you know, she said without and this goes back to what you were saying, Tesha, that you're like this very social person,
Hmm.
you know, and you were devastated when you got the diagnosis. I was the same way because I was like, well, what happens once I start chemo? Then I'm just going to disappear from the world, you know?
Right.
And one of the things that I learned was, wow, I'm more resilient than I even knew. And I think a lot of us kind of learned that in the pandemic too. Um,
Oh,
because
absolutely.
all the certainty goes away, but you're still here, you're
Yep.
still surviving.
Yep.
And so what I ended up doing was I just kept saying yes. You know, when I felt good, if I felt
Hmm.
good this day and someone invited me to go to something, I would say yes and I would do it. And before you know it, I was like, wow, I've really been in the community for longer than I thought I could be.
Yeah.
And so and I realized I was like, I'm like a vampire because I'm just sucking the energy of everybody around me, and that's like my strength. It's like my secret strength to be in community. And
Yeah.
that was one thing that Audre Lorde said in her journal. She said, without community, there is no liberation from something like from this thing that oppresses me, or something
Hmm.
like that, like the
Hmm.
cancer that oppresses me. And so I really love that book. If you haven't read it, again, it's like an older book,
Okay.
but still one of the best ones that I've read, because it wasn't so like self-absorbed, like
Yeah.
me. You know, it's larger
Yeah.
than you.
Right.
And
Right.
she also said something about turning silence into action. And
Hmm.
so that's what we're doing here, I think.
Being
yes,
the
you
voice,
are.
like you said, being the voice for the voiceless, being, you know, being that voice for those that don't have that voice, advocating for those that can't advocate,
Right.
educating those that, you know, don't have that education, so that we can bridge that gap. That
Correct.
is, so that is exactly what we're doing. But Raquel, you said something earlier that I kind of want to touch on. You mentioned that, you know, self-care is knowing your body. I love that.
Thank you.
And you are absolutely right. That is absolutely self-care. Self-care is you know, that's a big thing now
Yes.
in this, you know, in the times that we are in. You know, everyone is really big on, you know, wellness, making sure that, you know, we are well, mind, body, and spirit.
Yeah.
And, you know, just like you said, knowing your body, knowing if something has changed, or if something doesn't feel right, or something doesn't look right. I found my lump doing Zumba. Um just exercising one afternoon, and I'm getting it in. Because I love the dance. I love the dance. So I'm getting the dance move in, and then all of a sudden, my arm brushes up against my left breast, and I felt it.
Oh wow!
And
Wow.
immediately went to the bathroom and looked, and I did notice that one breast was, significantly larger than
The other.
the other breast. And just like you said, knowing that there is a change, but the thing is not sitting on it. Making sure any change. And I tell my listeners, and that on my podcast, and I'm telling listeners that are listening right now, any change, anything that you notice that is not, that you notice that's different, get it checked out.
Yes.
You never know. So talk to our listeners a little bit about, how important is that?
I feel like it's really important. I feel like we in a day and era where everything's moving so fast. Everything is so fast. It's like, I call it the microwave era. Because it's like nobody wants oven baked no more. They want instant gratification. Seriously, like, so
absolutely.
Yeah, like I just feel like you can easily overlook stuff, and a lot of people are into like self-diagnosing. Oh, I could just take ibuprofen, or I just think I got allergies. There's nothing. Everybody think they can just diagnose themselves with what they think. I don't feel like one of the doctors. I got to sit there all alone. So a lot of people don't like that, and I feel like that is the problem. That instead of them looking at it like, I'm gonna take as long as I need for me to know what's going on in my body.
Absolutely.
So that's self-care. That is self-care right there. Getting rest. Like your body, your cognitive thinking can't operate well when you're under rest, you're unrested, and you're not eating properly, you're not hydrating and or exercising. Those things play a major factor in
absolutely
self-care. So I just think that those things are the start, and just making sure that it don't have to be nothing all extravagant. Just make sure you carve out that time for you.
Absolutely.
Your time.
Exactly.
We mothers, we wives, and we have families that we tend to, and work. It's just we don't have time for ourselves.
Absolutely. And Vina, you even said getting early screenings is also a form of self-care. Absolutely correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Making sure you get those mammograms every year. I know it hurts, but I would rather endure those 2 or 3 minutes worth of them squishing my boobs than to have to go through again what we have gone through.
Yes.
And that's why I was so scared about like my first ever mammogram, because my mother would tell me, because she remembers the days, I think, of when it used to be metal, not plastic. So it was even worse. So I was just dreading it, never wanted to do it because of what my mother told me. Yeah. And then, honestly, if it saves your life, it's a little bit of a minor inconvenience.
Yes.
Right?
Minor, yes. I like it. It is a minor inconvenience.
Yeah.
But that minor inconvenience can save your life.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, it's so interesting too, because I have a friend who's in Japan who was kind of going through the same thing that I was going through. And just to listen about how they use more holistic methods over there than over here, that it's already part of their standard of care over there. Like they tell you, they have nutritionists that tell you, eat a lot of mushrooms because like those are actually like anti-cancerous. They never tell you that here. It's all about the drugs. And so that was one thing that I did make sure I asked my doctors. They connected me with a nutritionist. So she would say things like, oh, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of funny that they won't volunteer it because there's no scientific study that proves it or enough of a thing. Yeah. They're like, oh, yes, of course, mushrooms have like anti-carcinogenic properties. And if you can bring that in your diet, that's good. But, don't take the supplements because those might actually work too well to counteract the chemo. So there's like a little bit of science to it, but you again, you have to advocate for yourself. If you're feeling like, and I also did not want to rely on too many kinds of medications for side effects, right? Like, obviously, you're going to take your chemo, you're going to listen to your doctors, but for things like nausea, I was like, is there natural ways of dealing with this? Obviously, I would take it if it was really bad, like the medicine, but I did these like acupuncture bracelets,
Yes,
ginger everything.
I had everything ginger and lemon.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
And so I think there's a balance, and yeah, definitely make use of, because there's your medical team, your oncologist, but they can connect you to things like nutritionists. There was a nutritionist on my team, a social worker too, for the mental health thing. And you know, I had after my surgery, it was wild. The doctors were even surprised because I had an 11-day post-operative delirium. So I was psychotic for 11 days.
Wow.
I did not expect that. I was expecting all these physical things, but not the mental.
But not the mental. So when you ladies were, you know, going through your treatments, and there were moments where you just wasn't feeling it. I know I had moments where, you know, I was going through, I was mad. I went through all the emotions. I was sad, I was mad, everything. What were some things that you did that helped you to get through? I know, like I said, I love to dance, so music got me through because I'm old school. I am old school girl to the heart. So listening to old school, you know, listening to old school music, and I love to laugh, so I love comedy, and I love old sitcoms. That is my guilty pleasure. Old sitcoms. And so my best friends got me the DVD collection. My favorite show in the entire world. Anybody who knows me knows that Tesha loves In the Heat of the Night. That is my show. And I rediscovered it during my journey. So my best friends got me I have the DVD collection.
You have good friends.
Oh, I have the best friends, and I love them so very much. Shout out to my friends Tracy, Renice. I have a whole circle: Tracy, Renice, Mila, Coretta, Wanda. I love you all, and Mila, and I love all of you. But anywho, they made sure that, you know, I was upbeat when I could, on those moments when I just wasn't feeling it. Pep talks, not only with my circle of friends, but my coworkers, my sorority sisters. But those were some of the things that helped me. Laughter helped me. Dancing helped me. Journaling was a big thing too that I did, that helped me to just get my thoughts down on paper, and just get everything out. Because for me, verbalizing everything, there were moments where I just couldn't find the words.
Yes.
And that was hard for me. But if I could write it down, I mean, I was writing.
Right to your fingers.
Yes.
Yes.
So what were some things that both of you ladies did that helped you, you know, in those moments and during those times that you were going through your treatments or during your journeys?
I would say for me, I definitely was reading others. I don't know the name of the book, but it's a book that says something about cancer, but it's others like stories, their testimonies. It was
okay,
I don't know, like 365 of them. It was like one that I read every day.
Yeah.
And I was so like, and these were all survivors. So it's just like, I can beat this. I know I can beat this. And then journaling, like you said, that I just said I'm gonna turn my journals into a book because this was in real time. You know, these are your real raw feelings. And, it did help put those, like you said, to put your feelings into perspective. And I also I was filming, surprisingly. I was filming because I don't know, something in my spirit just told me, like, the second I got diagnosed, after I got out the boohoos, the waterworks, I just said, you know what? I don't know what's on the other side, but I'm gonna film everything. I'm gonna just film it. I filmed everything.
I feel a documentary coming on.
That's what I said. Exactly.
I feel a documentary coming on.
Yes, exactly.
And this is why you are known as Glammy.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, see, there's more to that where that comes from. So Glammy comes from me being in the industry of makeup for 10 years, 10 plus years. I've been doing weddings and just doing regular prom stuff, just regular everyday makeup for women. So I felt like, let me utilize the skills and the gifts that I have.
That's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Women, we go through the phases of our hair loss and
exactly
our prettiest, and my business is beauty. All of that is beauty, like the hair, the wigs. So I felt like you really never got to see me raw. I know how to draw brows on. I didn't have none. I drew them on every day. So looking at me wise, it didn't look like I was going through
the
anything.
breast cancer baddie.
So every time I went into chemo, I wore pink, and they always knew me.
To have candid conversations.
So and she comes in here and she looks cute, and other women were seeing that
after breast cancer,
like,
in a judgment-free space.
Oh wait, is she
welcome? Let's get started.
So people were asking about me, and people were like, that's how I started to build like a relationship with other women that were going through what I was going through, and like pushing them, like, don't give up,
Absolutely.
Push through that. And it's surprising. Unfortunately, I feel like God used me. He used me to use my gifts to help women feel good about themselves. And
y'all have a purpose.
So that's what I was doing. I was doing TikTok with my mom bought me this scarf that had edges on it. So I would put the scarf on and I would show them, demonstrating how to do your edges and how to do tattoo eyebrows. I bought these tattoo eyebrows and I were applying them step by step on TikTok, showing women that even there was alopecia, how to this eyebrow. So I just, that focus, something that I love, that's like my passion. I felt like it took emphasis off of me having cancer. I was focused on what I love.
It was a distraction for you.
Yes, it was a positive distraction.
It was a positive distraction. I would like that. It was a positive distraction. Vina, how about you?
No, and I've never been into I'm so simple. I don't really use a lot of makeup, but for sure, when I started losing my hair, that was the first time I'm like, what? They make brow pigment? I never heard of it. I do paint, so I was like, maybe I can like, try to paint on the brows with a liner. And so that did something to my self-confidence, I think. And then I even did something fun where I had people vote. I said, I want a wacky color hair, a wig. And I made people vote. It was like an ice blue wig, like a turquoise wig. The purple one won. So that was what I bought. So I got people into it too. It's not vanity, there are so many things that, obviously inner self-confidence is important.
Right.
But when you lose your hair, and I've always had thick hair, it's devastating.
It is devastating.
And so, I feel so much stronger being able to be like, I'm bald and it's beautiful, whatever,
in that we are, and I had to embrace that too. When I lost my hair, I tried the wig, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and it was like, this is not you, Tesha.
Exactly.
It's not you. And I took it off, and I never looked back. And I just, at that moment, that's when I just embraced my baldness. And it gave me confidence. And I don't know, it was just something about it just gave me confidence that.
Someone took a tintype of me with my bald head, but you can't see it. So,
I wish we could see it, but it gives you that. It gives you confidence, and and it gives you a sense of resilience, and it gives you definitely gives you a sense of strength. And it's like, now I feel like I can do it. I beat cancer. We did this.
I had cancer twice. I'm not dead yet.
Exactly. I can go through anything now, because look what we have done.
My hair grew back curly. It's never been this curly.
The The texture, right, guys?
My texture came back. Yep, totally different.
But see, to piggyback off of the hair thing, I was looking at other people that had cancer and what they were doing, and it was just devastating seeing them clunks of hair coming out, right?
Yeah.
I literally went to the hair cuttery and told them to cut it off.
Cut it off. Yeah.
I just said, just cut it. I did it right before chemo even started. I was like, I'm not going through that. I'm not going through that. I'm going to get in front of the 8-ball here. So I just went and buzzed it off. And
some people can't handle that. And, and it's part of that, it's part of that mental aspect too, because, it is devastating. I remember, again, when mine started coming out, and I saw it come out one time. I completely lost it. And my uncle shaved my, I was like, shave it off. I'm not dealing with that.
I took my business clipper and went, I can't deal with this. I can't do it.
Yes.
When it grew back curly and, a totally different texture than I was before I had cancer. But all of that, is part of, our well-being, is part of, is now, who we are. And, having those things in place those self-care things in place when you are going through, when you're having a not so good day or not so good moment, just having some, even just calling up your girlfriends or, just say, look, I don't need you to talk. Just listen.
Yes.
Let me get this out. All right. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Or, going for a walk, getting some, if you can, if you do have the strength, to get up or, exercise, going outside, just taking a walk, going to the park. Like I said, I love to travel. So I was in Philly. I'm going to Philly. We would take, my family, we would, they would come up. And, we would go different places just to get me out of the house, just to, have a change of scenery. And that did me all the good. That was just something that, again, I love to do. But again, having those things in place, doing things that you love, doing things that make you feel good.
Yes.
That is so important. That is, again, that is great self-care. That's taking care of not only your physical body, but taking care of your mental. Yes. And, as we are approaching next month, which is, Mental Health Awareness Month, that is a part of, self-care. Being able to making sure that you have a good mind space. Because that's half of your battle when you're going through, when you are going through, your breast cancer journey. And, as we are, April is Minority Health Month. So, what a wonderful, topic of conversation that we're having now of how we, women of color are, what we do to take care of ourselves and how we stress the importance of wellness and self-care on this Minority Health Month. So, for those that are listening out there, please, there are so many resources out there that can help you to find communities for the Rest of Us, which is
the Breasties is also a good virtual one.
Breasties, virtual as well as in person, meeting up with other survivors and thrivers, so you can have that community. So that's all a part of wellness and self-care.
Yes, it is.
Because you don't have to go through this alone.
You don't.
You do not have to go through this alone. So, ladies, I just want to thank you. This was an awesome conversation. For those that are out there listening, I hope you have enjoyed this conversation as much as I have. I want you all to make sure that you listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever wherever platform that you listen to your podcast on. And I also invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel at Tisha's Tea Room and subscribe to subscribe to my Instagram page. I got a brain fart. Chemo brain is real.
It's real. It is.
Oh my gosh. It is real. 9 years in and I'm still getting it.
But for those that are out there listening, please, be so kind to, again, subscribe to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my Instagram page at Tisha's Tea Room, and just watch the conversation, listen to the conversations that I've had with other thrivers and survivors, like I have with Miss Vina and Miss Raquel. Vina coming from the great state of New York, and Raquel coming from Philadelphia, the great state of Pennsylvania. I want to thank you again. Thank you so very much for this wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
And
so nice to meet everybody.
It was so nice to meet you all. And again, I will be in touch because you two are coming to the tea room.
Yes.
We could have gone on and on with this conversation. I think
we will. This conversation will continue. It will continue. But I wish you two wonderful, wonderful rest of your evening. I wish you peace and I wish you love, and take care.
This is another Baddie creation brought to you by For the Rest of Us. Don't forget to subscribe to Baddie to Baddie wherever you get your podcasts. And follow us on Facebook and Instagram at For the Breast of Us, on Twitter at The Breast of Us, and check us out online at breastofus.com. Thanks for listening.